Hi, I'm glad you joined us for another interesting episode of Ancient Tales for Today. Well, we've been following along in our last lesson, which by the way was number 59. We looked at how the people worshipped the wrong God. 他们拜的是错的神. And of course, that's possible even for us today, even if we're not religious. Now, in today's lesson, which by the way is lesson 60, we're going to talk about giving gifts. Stay by for another interesting lesson.
Story 60, Giving Gifts. Just about every religion has the idea of giving offerings. These are gifts that are given to the god or the temple or the priests. Giving gifts is very much part of human experience. Why do we give gifts to each other? Because we like someone, or because we feel bad about something we did and want to say sorry. Or maybe it's because we want to please someone and make him or her happy. There are lots of reasons. In the ancient tales, we read a lot about gifts. Moses told the people how to give offerings as part of the religious services. I'm sure many of them just did what they were told without thinking. But those who thought about giving offerings, especially that involved the death of an animal, should have realized that this was a lesson to them. When you do wrong things, you cause pain, and we hurt ourselves when we do wrong. Eventually, we die. The people were meant to learn that doing wrong things causes death. By giving these offerings to God, they were saying sorry and saying that they wanted to be changed into good people. It wasn't to try and persuade God to be nice to them because God loved them already, but it was a way of showing them their situation. If they didn't ask for God's help, they would die forever. I believe we all can see that this life is not everything. There is a spiritual life beyond our present life. This life here is just a preparation for a life to come. And I want to be changed from my bad self into someone who's good. However, I cannot give anything that would pay for this. But I am very thankful that this can happen, so I can understand the thought behind giving gifts. If you could be changed, wouldn't you be thankful too? The good news is that you can be changed.
Just about every religion has the idea of giving gifts. 几乎 just about, in this case, 所有的宗教，几乎 just about has the idea of 这个给一些奉献，一些奉献。We say, of course, giving offerings as 这个有奉献 ，OK， 一些礼物 ，OK。These gifts 这些礼物这些奉献 are given to the God, 是给他们的神。We give to our gods, okay. Or to the temple, 有时候我们是给那个寺庙 okay. Or the priest, 这个僧侣 or 祭司 the people who are running the temple and the temple service. You know what? Come to think about it, giving gifts, 要给礼物, is very much a part of human experience. So, 跟我们的经验是很有关系. We are used to giving, used to 习惯于, we are used to giving gifts. I'm a father. I'm a grandfather, actually. Okay? I like to give gifts to my children, to my grandchildren, but they like to give gifts to me. Giving gifts, 送礼物, is very much part of our 惯例, our experience, human experience, 人的惯例. Why do we give gifts to each other? 我们为此为什么就彼此互相送礼物 Gifts to each 互相送礼物 Give gifts to each other. Well, because we like someone. That's a good reason. 我们喜欢他, so we like to give them a gift. Or because we feel bad about something we did and want to say sorry or I'm sorry. 或许是因为我们 feel bad about 有一些 guilt 内疚感 okay? Something that we did 是我们所做的 and we feel bad and we want to say 我们想要说道歉. Sometimes it's easy to give a gift, but not easy to say, I'm sorry. Or maybe it's because we want to please someone. What does it mean to please someone? Well, actually, please probably at least on the surface, 字面上 please means 取悦. But sometimes to please God comes very close to 讨好他. We want to make them happy, 使他们快乐. See, there are lots of reasons we give gifts. If you were here and you saw me making this program, up in the control room I have a producer and he has a girlfriend. Now if I had a chance, which I can't, so he's probably laughing and smiling right now, I'd say, why do you give gifts to your girlfriend? Oh, there are many, many reasons going on. In the ancient tales, we read a lot about gifts. In this book called The Ancient Tales, we read about giving gifts. Moses told the people how to give offerings as part of religious services. 这个摩西就叫人们在他们的religious services, 他们宗教仪式 how to give offerings. 这个怎么样给一些奉献 It is part of their religious services. It's a part of their religious services. I'm sure many of them did just what they were told without thinking. 很多人就说 Oh, he said it, I will do it, there's no problem. Yeah. They did it without thinking. This is normal. We don't think about some things. We just do it, right? But those who thought about giving offerings that involved the death of an animal should have realized that this was a lesson to them. 特别是谈到那时候他们的献祭的时候 especially the death of an animal, 特别是一个动物死 they should have thought, wow, what does this mean? Oh, this is important because an animal was dying. Now, they should have realized. 应该意识到 Did they? I think sometimes they did recognize and understand. Sometimes they didn't. When you do wrong things, do you ever do wrong things? Of course you do. So do I. When you do wrong things, you cause pain. It's true. When you do something, you usually, what? 得罪别人, you offend other people, or you cause them pain, you make their life painful. And we hurt ourselves. 而且呢, we hurt ourselves. 我们也是害自己。我们做错的时候, when we do wrong, we hurt ourselves. And of course, we've talked about this before, eventually, 终于 we will all die. 我们都会死. Ooh, now these are heavy thoughts. How about a little light on our path? And then we'll come back for the next half of our lesson. We're going to look at John 3:16 for light on our path, a very common verse. John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only and one Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life.
约翰福音3章16节，大家都很熟悉的经文说，神爱世人，甚至将他的独生子赐给他们，叫一切信他的不至灭亡，反得永生。
Okay, in this verse, Lena, we're talking about a gift
对，
that
礼物
God gave us, and that's his Son, to save us. 他给我们最大的礼物，就是为了要拯救我们，给我们永生的盼望。But now, I have a question for you.
好
What is the biggest thing that your parents have done for you?
我想我父母给我一个最大的最好的礼物，就是他为我还有我的姐姐弟弟安排一个比较好的将来。
Okay.
对，就是带我们来到一个比较让我们容易学习的地方。
Wonderful, wonderful. I was thinking about this too. In fact, you asked me, well, what did my parents do for me?
对呀、
That's a good question. What did my parents do for me? I think, first of all, my father had a very good influence on me.
哦，
He was, well, my name,
对。
艾老师艾约翰，跟我爸爸完完全全的一样。
对，我也知道你把这个名字给你儿子。
Yeah, and he gave it to my grandson. So 现在我的孙子是第五世艾约翰。
第五代的艾约翰。
Yeah,
哦
yeah. So he gave me a good example, and he also helped me go to school.
哦，
我都是读这个私立班的学校，
对，
and so he paid for that. But God has given us the best. 上帝给我们的礼物是最大的。
他的独生子。
Yep. See, in the first half, we were talking that an animal in many sacrifices had to die. And this was especially many years ago. Nowadays, not really. It's not really practiced. But many years ago, when these animals died, the people were meant to learn, 本来应该学到 what? That doing the wrong things causes death. If you don't behave well, 你行为不是很好, or you hurt other people, the result eventually is that you will die. It causes death. Okay? 造成死亡. By giving these offerings to God, they were saying sorry and saying that they wanted to be changed into good people. Okay? 当他们给予这些奉献 to God, 给予上帝 they were saying 他们的意思 it says saying, but I don't think, well, maybe they did. They were actually saying 他们自己说道歉 okay? But even if they didn't say they were sorry, their meaning was, I'm sorry. 我错了，我向你道歉. I'm saying, I'm sorry. And saying that, 这样说的话, they wanted to be changed into good people. 当然，当你跟人家说道歉的时候, the next thing is, oh, there must be some change, right? In the ancient tales, they wanted to be changed into good people. You give a gift, it's an animal, it dies, and then the 含义, the real meaning is, we want to be changed into good people. We don't want to do that again. So the gifts were not to try and persuade God to be nice to them. 给这些礼物，这些奉献, not to try and persuade. Try and persuade 的意思就是说 persuade 这个说服上帝 give them good things, be nice to them, 好好对待他们 because God loved them already. This is very important. See, God already loves them. Okay? So we're not changing God's attitude, 他的态度. We're not changing his attitude, are we? We are changing ourselves, actually. Isn't that true? And so who changes? It wasn't trying to persuade God to be nice to them because God loved them already. But it was a way of showing them, showing the people, 就给他了解, showing them 他们的情况如何. It was a way of showing them their situation. If they didn't ask for God's help, they would die forever. 如果他们不求上帝帮助他们, 他们会死. 但这个死不是 一般的死，没有希望的死。They would die forever. 他们永远会死。Now that's a new thought, isn't it? Going on. I believe that we can all see that this life is not everything. You know, this life is not everything. I have a tie. I'm sitting here doing a television program. 人生的意义就是这么多吗？ No. There is something more than what we do and see and save and or say. There is a spiritual life beyond our physical life. And I think this is important. This is my own personal thing. A physical life, 我们的生命, this is our physical life. But there is a spiritual life. There is a life beyond. After life, after we die, there is another life. And the way I said it here is, there is a spiritual life beyond this present life. This life here is just a preparation for the life to come. 我们现在的生活、生命是要准备、预备这个来生，就是说 the life to come, the future life after death. You know what? And I want to be changed from my bad self, 我旧的自我。I want to be changed. 我要一些变化，我要一些改变。变为 into, change into, 变为 someone who is a 好人。I want to change from my badness to goodness. However, I can't give anything to pay for this. 我所给的礼物根本没有付上什么代价才能够这样得到。But for me, I am very thankful that this can happen. 很感激可以这样做。So I can understand the thought behind the gifts. It's the thought. 这是礼物，这个后面奉献后面的思想是重要的。If you could be changed, wouldn't you be thankful too? And that's the way I ended the lesson. So let me say it again. If you could be changed, 如果你真正的可以得到一些变化，你可以改变，你会变好，比你现在的还要好。Wouldn't you be thankful? 肯定你会感激，是不是？肯定你会感激。Well, now we need to go on. The good news is you can be changed. Now, stay by for some words from this lesson you need to know. And now, for some words you need to know. First one is just about every
几乎
Okay, just about. So we use this a lot. Was it just about everybody? 这个几乎每一个人。
每个人，对。
Yeah. Just about. The next one is offerings.
奉献。
奉献。When people go to church, they give offerings.
对。
Offerings of 奉献。So they give this to their God. Okay, 奉献. I think almost all religions have this, right?
对，有的一些是不是金钱，是什么其他的物质的东西。
Okay, okay, good. Okay, the next one is to persuade.
说服也有人说是说服，
Okay, 说服 to persuade somebody.
对
So I had to persuade my wife to marry me.
太好了。
So, and then the next one is forever.
永远
Now, the reason why I used forever is because God's gift of Jesus, 耶稣为我们舍命，是要给我们永生的盼望。
对
That we would live forever. And then the last one, we have a little bit of time here to pay for.
pay 我们是说付款付钱
Yeah, right.
但是在这里是说付上代价是吧
Oh, yes. You'd have to kind of look at the contest. 还是付呢？
对呀、付
It
对
still pay something. Great. Thanks for staying with us for words you need to know. Okay. In this last lesson in Ancient Tales for today, we talked about human experience. 这个人类的惯例 we all like to give gifts. We all give gifts of some kind. Now, the question we ask ourselves was, why do we give gifts? Now, that's a little bit harder because there are motives, 有动机. And we can't see always the motives, can we? Okay, we're now going to go on to another lesson. So you'll want to come back for our next lesson, number 61, the presence of the supernatural. See you then.
That's all for today, and thanks for watching. If you like Ancient Tales for Today, please visit atft.chinesehope.tv. You may also contact us by writing to ancienttalesfortoday@gmail.com. Again, that's ancienttalesfortoday@gmail.com. Tell your friends about Ancient Tales for Today. See you next time.